Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Susglobal Energy's channel, advancing the circular economy with proprietary tech, transforming waste into fertilizers and fuels. Joining us, as always, Chief Executive Officer Mark Hazout. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure to have you back on, man. So it's been an exciting year for your stock. You guys have been doing relatively resilient against the volatility of what we're currently seeing in the market. And I wouldn't mind iterating some of your releases with some interms that you just dropped. And this is going back, I guess, to the last quarter of last year. And you posted that you had about 8.5 million in assets versus the time prior where we're sitting on about 5.7 million. So you've increased your assets by almost 3 million. And from the liability standpoint, you are sitting about 13.9 million in the current liabilities. Can you talk about the liability standpoint, where that money's currently sitting, and insights to the shareholders that might be watching?
Of course. So when you see debt on our balance sheet, it's asset-backed debt because we actually have, we own the real estate, and the market is now slowly reflecting the true intrinsic value of that real estate because the real estate has the environmental compliance approval licenses attached to it. So when you look at the debt on the balance sheet, you have actually mortgages on the real estate. So that's where you're seeing some of the liability. We've paid most of the convertible notes, actually all the convertible notes, but we do have some final notes that'll be converted in the registered offering. But that's basically what those liabilities are.
Yeah. Okay. So I appreciate that insight because obviously it's a little aloof when you just look at it, not realizing it's asset-backed liability. But moving into the revenue side as well, you did see a bit of a decrease there, going from 432,000 to 144,000, which is a pretty substantial decrease from the year prior. But again, we're talking about the final quarter of last year. Can you kind of give insights on what you see revenue looking like kind of moving forward? Because you're in this pivotal year that I'm seeing. So just offer some insight there.
Sure. So what's important is the second facility. The second facility allows us the redundancy which most municipalities are looking for. And that was one of the reasons that that revenue dropped. We had a municipality that was providing us with approximately 10,000 metric tons per annum of organic waste. So we generated tipping fees and, of course, the products that we would have regenerated from those organic waste. They wanted to award us with the entire program, which was 30,000 tons per annum, but unfortunately we didn't have the second facility. Why that's important, that redundancy, is because if anything were to happen in your first facility, you cannot turn away municipal organic waste trucks, and that's why the second facility was so important to us. But we had to wait. When we acquired the Hamilton facility, it took us about 3 years to finally acquire it because it does have an existing environmental compliance approval license. And when that facility is now under development, we're looking at the third quarter this year to start processing there. And that's when we'll be able to bid and obtain more municipal contracts with the redundancy. So that's really important. Moving forward, we have the organic growth from the sale of tipping fees and the sale of products from both the facilities this year. And then, of course, the accretive aspect from the first acquisition that we announced. And of course, we'll have the second acquisition this year too. So we're looking at about $30 to $35 million in revenues for 2022. And then, of course, once we begin processing the liquid fertilizer in the fourth quarter of this year, we'll be able to start delivering in the first quarter of 23, and that's when we'll capture the revenues for first and second quarter of 23 on the liquid fertilizers, and that's going to represent a significant amount and an exponential revenue growth from the sale and the production of the liquid fertilizer, which really represents almost 80% of our revenues.
Yeah, and sitting in the current economic circumstance where there's such a demand for fertilizers and fuels, and you guys actually partnering with these municipalities, it puts you in a really fascinating place. So from where you were to where you're going, I mean, you're looking at an uplisting coming up. Can you kind of just offer some investors on what they should be paying most attention to outside of what you just mentioned?
Of course. So we filed the S1 registration statement on January 13th. Then we received 2 comments from the SEC on January 27th. And now we're filing an amended S1 registration statement with our new 10K filings that you just referred to. That will, once it goes effective, that will allow us to close on the registered offering with our underwriters and uplist to NASDAQ. I think that's important. The uncertainty that exists in our market, I believe, is with regards to the financing, because a lot of investors and our shareholders They're very loyal and like the model and the company and what we're doing, but they want to make certain that we have the money to execute on the plan. So once that S1 amended is filed and we get closer to the uplisting and the closing of the registered offering, I think that's when the uncertainty in the market will be eliminated, and it'll allow us to execute on the plan and get to these, be able to deliver on some of the projections and the revenue forecasts that we expect from not only the tipping fee, but from the production of all the fertilizers that we'll be selling. And then of course the distribution network through the acquisition that we announced several weeks ago, and the next acquisition in the United States, which will give us distribution there as well.
Well, on that note, I appreciate these insights, and I want to pass it off to the viewers here. I'd love to know what you guys think about all of us in that comment section below, and consider subscribing, because as that news hits the wire, we'll always continue to update you here. But on that note, stay cool, stay awesome, and as always, I look forward to catching you in the next one.